Well, I'm done for today. Nothing else to worry about. So, you know what? I'm going to a good night's sleep. I need that sleep. Wait a minute. There is something I forgot. The podcast! Must be a month, right? Almost a near month. It should be a near month. I think it's near month. I got lost track. But I'm sorry. But this is the real deal. I am finally back. Back to the podcast, to the Sparda's World podcast. And yeah, I kept you waiting too long. So I gotta apologize on that first and foremost. But, I'm back. So, group hug? Anything? Anyone? No. But seriously, finally back. It's been long overdue for me, I guess. And yeah, it's not much to say, but I'm back. Everything is the same formula, same format. Formula, I'm not sure where I got that coming from. I'm not really, that's not a real introduction. It's more of my comeback introduction. That's not even mine. That's from Gintama, but that's a different story. Anyway, I'm back. This is episode 38 on Sparda's World Podcast. As your host, Sparda 3G, as always. Because if it's someone else hosting, it would not be Sparda's World, now wouldn't it? So, yeah, I'm trying not to change too much of this show. But there is some changes that you need to know. First thing and foremost, everything remains the same for the most part. Now, it's only one episode per week. No more of 2 episodes per week. Unfortunately, it does tire me out, and there is life, coming in my way. Other stuff like jobs, family, and everything else. We all have that, so it's understandable why this is not such an easy task. Unless this itself is a job, maybe it's just like it just perfectly fit in because it's a job. This one is not a job; it's just a hobby of mine. I'm doing this because I enjoy doing this. I enjoy sharing my thoughts, enjoy sharing, what's going on with the world of anime and manga. And, of course, there's a lot of things that's going on as of past weeks, a month even, because this does feel like it's been a month ago, right? So, now I'm back, and, the format would be the same for the beginning, starting off with the anime and the manga news, such as like the fall 2015 anime, which, by the way, the One Punch Man had an early premiere, though some people say it's not finished up or it's not finished up or something like that. I kind of don't know what they mean. Well, actually, I do know what they mean, but I don't know that's true. But if it is true, then my God, One Punch Man, the first episode looks phenomenal for what it is. And it's a low quality. And I could tell already it already looks great. But it's only first episode. It's only a low quality. So, stuff is going to go much more crazy in the future episodes. But what I see so far, it looks very promising. It seems like Madhouse is really making this into a huge deal, to the point that a lot of people are starting to say, can this be the next Attack on Titan? Now, I don't know if that's true, but maybe in terms of sales, not in the exact caliber, but I would say it can be. I could see it being a million sale. Right now, the sales has been around 400,000 per volume so far, and that's great news. It's great to see how much exposure it has shown, and then with the anime coming out, the exposure is going to be higher now. But I do wonder though, with this whole this whole the fact that this is getting anime and you know the idea that it's getting that mainstream treatment, you know, I guess that means everybody got to start hating on this show, right? You got to hate on this. Ooh, it's so boring. The main character's OP. Ooh, I hate this show. It's mainstream. So, but anyway, it's best to just follow your own opinion. Just ignore the rest, guys. I mean, you know, if there's a valid opinion, such as like, oh, I don't like the show because it seems like it's not my type, or whatever the explanation may be, then it's fine. You know, let them be. But if it's sort of like, oh, because it's so popular, what's so great about this? This is something I just really tend to ignore. I mean, I know there are a lot of series that are overrated, fine, but I just don't like where people just have to hate it because it's popular, rather than I don't like it because I legitimately don't like it, you know? The opinion needs to be addressed. Stuff like negative and even a positive opinion needs to be addressed. And you can't just say you don't like it because without even saying, even you don't like it because just don't like it will actually be more benefit than just say I don't like it without a because, without a why, with, you know, any follow-up. It's best to even just say just because. I mean, granted, you would just ignore that guy because you just don't like it. I don't know, but at least it won't be a negative outlook. It would be like more of a whatever, you know. So anyway, One Punch Man is officially releasing around October, early October, as much as like other anime, which a lot of anime from summer 2015 are now finishing up, and so for some reason, a lot of series of anime 2015 of summer are ending a little later. Like they keep having a delayed episode. In fact, the one anime from the spring 2015 is finally making the final episode on air. I forgot when. I think it's next month or maybe next week. I don't remember, but it's just like, boy, what took you too long? What took you so long? You know, but there is always a reason behind it. So, hey, you never know. In fact, since it would be in the finale, you might as well go with a bang, not a whimper. You know, that would have been a terrible thing to do, to go out with some horrible animation or lackluster presentation overall. So maybe it's best for them to delay. Then again, coming from a video game guy, sometimes delays doesn't really benefit greatly, and that could include for anything else, you know, like movies, anime, TV show. Sometimes it doesn't really benefit at all, but who knows? You know, it's just I gotta start catching up on anime stuff. You know, I really kill all my time with Gintama, and truth be told, I do not regret at all. That anime is one of the best I have ever seen, and it's definitely the best ongoing series. I mean, I know they have the breaks, and you might say it's not fair. They have breaks, you know. They take a year break, 2 years break, whatever. True, but still, when you look back at the first one, it has 201 episodes by itself, and it was all consistent. Most of it was from the actual manga, and you know they have their own fillers, but I didn't know. I wouldn't know because it was actually pretty good for themselves. So, and you know they timed it right. They know when to use the right animators to do the important piece of the story. They know how to direct. They know how to put the placement of, you know, the direction. They know how to do it. Sunrise definitely needs more credit than it needed to be. I guess because a lot of people only associate them with Gundam series. So, fine. I understand that. But they do Gintama. They do that show. They adapt that show. So they should deserve a lot of more credits. And, you know, their presentation is pretty good too. It's not like it's not Studio Period. It's not Toei Animation. They're really pretty good themselves. They're like if they have more series or more of a known series to United States, because, United States are picky these days. And, Gintama is not popular at all and gets the United States, but it's underrated. Definitely underrated. This whole buzzy news with the third season, which is going on right now, kind of caused a stir in the United States and kind of actually make them want to check out. Not a lot of them, but they want to make it check it out. And I guess you could say it has that One Piece syndrome with the whole, it's too many chapters, it's too many episodes, But if you take your time and actually watch them, read them, whatever, it's so good. It's just such a great series. I can see why Japan loved this series. Japan named this series as the number 2 best most popular series in there. That's considered Weekly Shonen Jump. You wouldn't think it would be, Dragon Ball Z. I think Dragon Ball Z was 3. It's weird, right? So if that's number 2, what the hell? So you just had to read that shit. I made 3 posts. I made my first impression, my second impression, my third impression, whatever impressions. I think I made 3 apart. The first 2 is all anime based. The last one is manga based, and you could check it out on my Tumblr page to see the latest one. And I really don't regret taking my time with that series. There was so many episodes, but it was so worth it, and I have no regrets. With that said, now that I'm done with the episodes, I can finally see some other different shows, full focus and everything. So, it's around the time with the fall season, which I really looking forward to. I feel like this season is going to be perhaps the best out of this year. And, of course, One Punch Man is like my number 1 target right now. And, we got other ones like Noragami sequel, Haikyuu season 2. This is just a lot more. And then that series, I cannot pronounce it. Maybe next time I should really get a heads up on knowing the names and the pronunciation and stuff like that. But regardless, the fall season is around the corner. A lot of series finales happening. Or season finale, depends which series is really going for season 2 or not season 2. So we'll see what happens in the long run. But yeah, back. That's really my news for this week. Besides the fact that Magi is actually ending, it's finally going to the last finale arc, and because of that, I'm going to read the manga now, so I'm going to catch up on that quickly as possible. See, and I will check out the anime too. Some people say it's kind of weak. Maybe it's the same thing that went through with Nanatsu no Taizai. If it's the same thing as Nanatsu no Taizai, I probably won't have that much of a problem. I'll probably be like, well, they didn't adapt everything from the manga, which sucks. But on its own, it's actually pretty good. We'll see what happens. But I would definitely check it out. And it's funny how it's actually ending. And a lot of people seems to really like that series when you actually take your time to read that series. It does look good. It does look intriguing. The story sounds interesting. Something about labyrinths, and I'm definitely going to check it out very soon. Okay, so now we got the news part out of the way. Here's a new thing that I'm going to do, and that is the ranking up the chapters. And that means this is pretty much a super brief review of the super brief review of the this week chapters that I have read. And as of late, it's really hard to try to line it up because you got different translator. If we were in Japan and actually follow up the normal scheduling, no leaks, no anything, no early spoilers, it would have been so much simple to rank up. Like, okay, it's the end of the week. I read both magazine or actually there's more than one magazine. I read all the magazines, so therefore I claim this one to be manga to be the best one of this week, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do very briefly, because I'm not gonna review everything. There's so many series I'm following, and there's more than I even share. I don't even share in Tumblr, so it's just a lot of things to talk about. But I'm gonna make it brief here, and there's only 3 series for every week that I'm gonna follow. That I'm going to review, which, by the way, it can change. It can change in the future. But right now, I'm just going to keep the 3 that I already claim to review. So, it may be not popular enough for you guys to care, but we'll see. Maybe, like, again, it depends on the topics. It depends which one is really catching on to a lot of people's attention. So, anyway, let's get to the first part. Now, this is how it works. We start off from the beginning, the bottom, and then we go all the way to the top. Now, there are 9 series. That's how much I follow. Though there are some other ones, but that's the monthly, and that's kind of hard to rank. But let's just go over with this weekly one, the one that has some name value into you guys or some people. There's a lot of series in here that's actually not so known in America. Only 1, 2, maybe 3, because it released in the United States. 4, barely 5, and that's it. At least you guys are catching up in the United States. In fact, your New York Times weekly sales for the manga series are really, really, really improving. Yeah, we got Yu-Gi-Oh! Zaxo. I'm not hating on Zaxo. I'm not hating on Yu-Gi-Oh! But let's face it. It was only in the top 10 because of the name value. Let's be realistic, guys, okay? But, you guys are growing. One Punch Man, check. Tokyo Ghoul, check. Attack on Titan, check. Sounds like a big, real holy trinity in the United States to me. Anyway, let's just go from the beginning. And coming number 9 is Bleach Chapter 643. I thought this was a decent chapter. This one is a more continuation of the battle, but it seems like it's finally ending. It has Nemu doing a powerful strike, which kind of unfortunately she blew up or something that happened to her. And then Mori just went sadistically berserk. Well, not berserk, but just, more of a, just went crazy and they just fight against Pernita. Pernita tried to eat the body remains and only to make himself about to explode. And that's what it seems like. That's where the next chapter is going to end the fight. At least that's what I'm hoping. Number 8, Fairy Tail Chapter 453. This one just came out yesterday. Why? Don't know, but who cares? You got an early chapter. So, you would think it might be cheating to do that. But no, it's actually the same placement as the last one in terms of the ranking for me. So, either way, this is still same rank. So yeah, Fairy Tail 4, Chapter 453. This was good. This was a calm before a storm. The most shocking part to me is with the Juvia and Gray. The whole interaction is so brief, but the fact that they really gonna make it into a thing is staggering. It's just kind of staggering. The Lucy and the Natsu fans, the pairing fans of those two, they have to wait. But it still had a good interaction and a good, a nice shot of smiles, happy life, happy wife, happy life, right? So, and then the war officially began in the very end of the chapter. We will get this discussion more when we get to my review. So, good chapter though. That's all you need to know. Number 7 is Nanatsu no Taizai, chapter 141. Once again, it came out early from yesterday. It just came out yesterday. It still would have been the same rank, but I thought this was a nice chapter. The last chapter was really sweet. This one was a nice chapter. It has Bond, reuniting with his father. I'll be honest, I can't really pronounce the name. I would say Shivagu, but he's a werewolf. And they headed off. Jericho is there, just crying her eyes off, and just get, I guess you could say, friend zone, sibling zone, wallet zone. I don't know, whatever approachable. This was it was a nice chapter overall. Maybe you probably might be bothered by this whole the whole love thing. I wasn't bothered too much because it has a lot of good parts to it. And the highlight to me was the whole bondage between Bond and Meliodas, which, you know, I'm glad they addressed that moment because it needed to be done. And, you know, Bond needs to be vulnerable at a certain point. He can't be just like, oh, I'm so badass. You know, it's cool to be badass. There's some other series that could do it, and, you know, it's really good. But some people have human side, you know. He's always human. We see in his flashback. We see in the other case of scenario how human he is, even though he's immortal. So that one was done well. And then the end part is a interesting cliffhanger that makes me wonder where it's gonna lead to. And yeah, this is a nice chapter on its own. When it comes to hype for the next chapter, well, that's a different story from ranking this chapter, because this one is about what chapter really pleased me the most. So, you know, it's always going to change around. Don't worry, it's not going to be the exact same thing. Oh, Bleach and then Fairy Tail. Maybe Bleach will always be the last. Okay, I'm not going to lie. It could go up maybe when it gets to the finale, the true finale. But we'll see. We'll see in due time. 6 coming for Haku chapter 174. Yeah, I haven't really talked about it here, nor in the Tumblr, though I should talk about that next time with the next chapter. I thought this chapter was fun. This was more intense, and the fact they officially go into the 5th set, your heart is about to begin to race, because the fact this is the final set. Whoever wins this wins it all. And I still don't know what direction with this guy is going with, so I can't really say they're gonna win it all. But even if you find it predictable that they're gonna win it all, it's the way how it's being told, the visual, the story, the way how it's go, the characters. They really make it a huge deal. They really make us feel like we really, really in there cheering them head on. And you know, all around, this is a really good chapter. Now they're in the next set, it's just gonna make you adrenaline rush. It's just gonna make you so, you know, into the game. Now, number 5, Hero Academy, Baku no Hero Academia, chapter 59. This was good, interesting chapter. We got more insight with One for All for One. The whole backstory behind them. The one thing that really got me worried is where All Might, you know, he didn't want to say one other thing to Deku, because Deku was like, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to fulfill that destiny. I'm, you know, that job One for All job is to defeat All for One. And, you know, Deku is like, you know, he's determined to do it. And he's saying, like, as long as you're with by my side, All Might, we're going to do this. I'm going to succeed. But that's where the heartbreaking scene comes in, where he didn't say it, but it only gives you the idea he may not be alive that time. I'm not looking forward to that moment. And, you know, we saw All for One looks pretty damn cool. For a villain, because it's really the villain design in this series is really interesting. It's really good too. It's something not you see a lot of series in this weekly Shonen Jump. So this one is really refreshing, and I really like it. And now they're going on a camp trip, because why would it be a school without a camp trip? So yeah, that's where it ends, and I'm looking forward to what's next for the next arc. Number 4, Sokugeki no Soma, chapter 135. This one was a really good one as well. Really good art again. Just seeing this new character, or rather, Erina father, Azumi, he really oozes out the darkness. I mean, that design of his is I really like the design too. That's the funny part. I really like that design. It really oozes the evilness, the darkness, you know, stuff like that. I really like that design. And just seeing Erina being that, Erina just looking like a lifeless doll is actually disturbing me. And I really, really look forward to the day where she goes back to herself. Now, people will say she deserved it when you go. Maybe if you skip a lot of development before development or insight of a character, fine. But you only made it remember. You only made it seem like you only remembered. I want Soma out. Muhaha. That's it. But realistically, there's so many things about her that there's a reason why we should feel sorry. And, you know, it's going to get worse. So if you haven't feel sorry now, well, it's going to get worse later on. And you're probably going to start feeling more sorry than ever. And, you know, the cliffhanger about the whole, the former director now has told Soma that he advised his father to put him into the academy. Why? Well, we'll find out in the next chapter. So, pretty good stuff in this one. Number 3, One Piece, chapter 800, the big 800. I will get to this chapter. Truth be told, there's not much happened in this chapter, but it's really fun and it's a fun, good chapter because of the whole, you know, the whole crew, the fact that Luffy didn't want the fleet and he's trying to make it such a impactful address to these guys. And then because of that, they got the understanding that they understand what Luffy means. So therefore, they still gonna, they are free. So therefore, they're gonna decide to, why not, be Luffy's fleet. And Luffy's like, crap, what have I done? And it's like, damn it, no, this is not the way I want. But until they find a feast, until they do the feast and they have a meat, oh, never mind, I want meat. So, all well ends well, right? So, yeah, that's the story. That's really mainly the story, but it's such a heartfelt, good moments, and you know, it is definitely the end of Dressrosa arc, and we get more than that later on, but it was a good chapter. I really liked it, and I know I placed it high, I guess, because it didn't much happen, but it felt good. It gave me that good warm feeling, and it was, you know, it was a good overall. Number 2, Gintama, chapter 558. This one was really, really good. It's so awesome that Gintoki actually kept his word, saying like, you know, we could just, if you're like this Shogun could be defeated like on like no more than 5 pages. And wouldn't you know it, that's what they did. That's what they really did. It's such an awesome way of using the fourth wall, breaking the fourth wall reference. And you know, it's a lot of like more of that dickish feeling from Nubu. Oh god, I hate him, but he's a punchable guy, so why not? And yeah, he said he got a third punch of this time. He got his third punch. Banzai, you know, he pretty much he highlighted this moment because he really wants to see Takatsuki, to see how he was like when he was back then, because you know, he was not all bad. He just lost his mind because the war really changed him, and it's understandable. But I want to see how they're gonna do this. Hopefully, it will be done well. And knowing Sorochi, I believe in him. And the chapter ended with Umebuzo coming back to the hometown of Kagura and her family. So things are really going to heat up, and I kind of wish I wanted to talk about more, but you know, maybe if somebody demands it to be like, oh, let's replace this series with that one, because I only couldn't do in 3. I'm not gonna do 4. It's too much. Sorry, guys. Now, number 1, what else? Tokyo Ghoul read chapter 44. This was really, really good. Definitely a great characterization. I really like the breakdown from Sasaki. The fact that he actually broken down to tears in front of Shu of all people. And Shu had the perfect opportunity to change his mind, but no, he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. And it's such a great interaction between these two, or more of like just a great shots of seeing Shu changing his look. First he's like confused, then awed, then then back to confusion, but at the same time feeling frustrated. And then, you know, the Sasaki is the same thing. It starts off with Sasaki, you know, he seems normal, and then he started to break it down. Then you don't see his face anymore, but you see tears coming down. Then you see his face again, but he looks so lost and so needed for help. It's so good. It was such a good chapter. And, the ending, it just shows the despicable Kijima, which, by the way, showed the despicable Kanu as well in the beginning. And, I hate that bastard. But other than that, such a great chapter. So, definitely number one in my rank. Unfortunately, the damn chapter 45 has not been out because who knows? So, yeah, that's my rank. Of course, it's going to be like this. It's not going to be the same as always, as every week. As for the hype ranking, it's a different story because that's something about the next chapter. Because you could have a good chapter, but you could have a weak cliffhanger or something like to give you hype. You could have a great chapter like, oh, it's a good conclusion, but you don't know what to expect next. So you just leave off like, your hype would be like, slow down because you are on the cool down now. So, but that would be only on my Tumblr page. So look forward to that one. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to actually start doing that more often. It kind of sucks that we don't have translation that's on par or that's on the same wavelength. Like once you get the chapter, translate, done. Instead, some of them be like, once you get the chapter, they take the time. Next day, they take more time. Then the following day, they finally done. Sucks, but those days I really wish I was in Japan, or I really wish the United States would have adapted the idea of having this whole magazines or digital. They only did it for Shonen Jump. Good, but do it more. Do the Young Jump, do the Sunday ones, do the any other magazine, all the magazine. But we're catching on. We're slowly learning. Very slow. So let's talk about the chapters, shall we? Fairy Tail. This one is out much earlier than before. I don't know why. I think there's a special holiday season or something. Actually, we got a lot of early chapters this week, if you ask me. I mean, not this one. This one came out the usual time, but with the Weekly Shonen Jump one, we got them a day earlier. It was weird. I don't know why. I guess I should really follow. I haven't been following in terms of scheduling, what's going on, what holiday, what's the special occasion, what's the double chapter week, what is it, I'll keep following to figure out what's going on for the future reference, at least. But anyway, let's get to the fairy tale talk. So this is chapter 5. I said 5. 453, Parental Role. Kind of gives you the idea that what is the main theme. Actually, it is the main theme, but the chapter did focus more on the calm before storm. Actually, this chapter is pretty much the calm before storm chapter. I don't know. I know a lot of people have been asking, is this the final arc? I don't know yet. I really don't know. So far, I'm leaning towards yes, but anything is possible. Now, I don't know if Mashima is a huge fan of. I wouldn't say a fan, but it's more of if he's a guy that reveals a lot of things, get done everything when it comes to Calm Before Storm. What I mean is like, I should tell you my darkest secret. I always find you the bestest friend. You're like the greatest person I ever met. Without you, I would never be this way. Or, I have a real confession to make. I love you. Whatever. It does usually. Actually, that usually happens in Gundam series, but in this one, it's mixed. But I do like what I see. I don't know if Mashima is planning to do more along the way, as in revelation from characters and bonds, relationship, whatever. I don't know, but maybe if I go back to his older work, I think I will get the idea what's going to happen. But we'll see what happens. We don't know if this is the final arc. If it is, then, we'll see. Let's end with a bang and not a whimper. Fair. So start off with Lucy pretty much writing to her diary about this whole well, letter, whatever, to this whole story behind this whole, after revealing that Fairy Heart is, pretty much Mavis inside inside a Lumina, and Lucy pretty much thankful that she was around, because Fairy Tail wouldn't be Fairy Tail if she wasn't there. She is the founder, of course, so Mavis did come off look like she blamed herself for a lot of things. But instead, they really gratitude for everything she has done, even though, it's such a horrible, tragic event that she's the one, she got caught in the whole curse. She's immortal, but she's cursed to the fact that whatever she gets close to, her loved one will die in front of her, will die out. It's such a tragic thing. So now she's become a magic source, which is even worse. It's pretty much she became a tool, which sucks really bad. But, again, they always still appreciate what she has done and what she has created. Then that's Fairy Tail. So Lucy is thankful for that part. And then Natsu barge in, or maybe he's already in there. She just didn't know about it. Natsu's like, oh, that's a well said story. Hey, this is really well said. Good job. Yeah. We haven't never met each other. I wonder what that means, actually. I'm not gonna think too deep. So. Yeah, Lucy's kicked the chair. I guess Natsu really has perfected on dodging her kick or dodging her punch or whatever. So I guess that's one thing he has learned in time skip wise. Besides that new power that he has, they've only done once. I really hope it's not no sexy stuff. Anyway, then they have a nice interaction with each other, which. We're pretty much talking about like why you don't feel like danger, why you feel like you're making this everything a fun game and stuff like that. It's like you got it wrong. I love a good fight, but what I like is the concept of strength and not fight to the death, which pretty much it goes to show you so it's not that dumb. Yes, he likes a good fight, but geez, when it comes to fighting to death, that's a different story. That's something that you really gotta be serious. So Natsu shows his cool side. Lucy pretty much happy to hear, and then Natsu go back to his normal self. Oh, let's play strip poker. It's like, well, it was like strip poker. I ain't playing that game. So, but they had a nice interaction. I guess I was thinking maybe because if I was believed to be told that this is the final arc, maybe I was actually guessing for a final confirmation of the pairing, but maybe that'd be saved for later. Save the best for last, as they say. So, you pairing fans, you gotta wait longer. We'll get to it with Urza and Wendy. I like this one. Granted, this is fan service, mainly from Urza. Like, geez, do we need that shot? That one back shot. But, I'm gonna forgive that scene because the whole interaction between them, is simple, sweet. Mainly because of the Wendy part, especially how she came, because, Wendy, when we saw Wendy, she was like a rookie. She was not a fighter. She was more of a supporter. And, she could always heal, do this and that. Nice and all, but, of course, Wendy don't want to be the one being protected. She wants to do the protecting part as well. So, now, she's telling Urza, she did a lot. Now let her be the one to be doing the protecting. Which is, again, a little sweet, nice, and it's fan service shots, but I'm just going to let that slide for now. Now, this is another one, I would say this, if this part, this Gray and Juvia interaction discussion, if this were to be in the beginning of the chapter, I really would have think this is the end, because I would have think like, holy crap, if I see Lucy and Natsu, that means they're really about to hit it off, But still, this part has actually got the most progress in terms of like becoming as one, if you get what I mean. So, to be honest, I was kind of shocked to see this actually going through this way. Like, I thought it would be more comedy. I mean, it was getting comedy with the holy crap, I'm getting his leftovers. I don't know if I could eat this. She's all huffy and puffing. She's like, oh my God, this is too much. But it was getting serious when Gray was telling her, like, I'm really thankful that you're always on my side, and I'm thankful you're here. He shared his food, And what top it all off is when the battle is over, I'll give you my answer. Wow. Wow. I guess it pays off. Huh. It does feel like it's in the final chapter. Oh, final chapter, sorry. It does look like it's in the final arc, but you never know. Anything is possible. And Gray does have his trick up his sleeve as well. I mean, he has to. He got to get ready for End. Well, Zeref and End, but mainly End, because End is the one that caused all this commotion, the one that pretty much deteriorated his father. So, but yeah, again, I can't believe it's about to really hit it off soon, whenever that time comes. Unless something bad happened, then maybe Gray maybe the whole thing will be delayed. You never know. So maybe that's the whole point of the story. By the way, Mavis has been, watching the three interactions, the three group moment. We got the Natsus and Lucy, Urza, Wendy, and Gray and Juvia. She watched all of them, and then she goes back to the base with Makarov and the others, planning out what to do. We have that radar, getting ready for the war that's about to begin. And before all that happens, Makarov has to say his speech, something that I think we probably heard a lot of times, but maybe, just maybe, this is the arc that he really kicked the can, and I think that's how you say it. So, but what I mean is that, I think this is the time where he actually will die. Now, he got lucky twice, maybe third time. Well, maybe third time. I think it was the third time. He got lucky, sure. But I do think this is the time. I do think this is where he's finally gonna he's finally gonna to die. Because I want this war to be very significant, and not just because a lot of places gets destroyed, the fairy tale gets destroyed 1,000 times. Somebody has to sacrifice, and if it's gonna be somebody, it has to be Makarov. Mavis already technically dead, so it wouldn't work. I mean, I do think Fairy Heart will disappear for her. I do think Fairy Heart will disappear in this arc, and I do think Mavis will finally go to heaven, or whatever the case may be. But the point is, I do think a lot of things is going to end in old generation wise, starting with Makarov. And Makarov, of course, talking about this whole, it's the role of parents to stand in front of their children and protect them, even if their lace were to give out at any moment. So pretty much they signifying that they're gonna to put themselves over their children, because it's up to the new generation to take over, as the old generation is gonna take the sacrifice, be the sacrificial limb, I guess you could say. So it kind of tells me Makarov might be the one to finally hit the bucket. I don't even know what's the right. I would just say he might finally die. I don't want him to die, but you got to make something that says this is reality. This is the cruelty of a war, or anything about it. I don't want to be too easy, too easy peasy, whatever how you say that. I don't want to be too easy. It has to be, not only it has to be brutal, but it has to be, significant. It can't be like, oh, he died, okay. It has to be like, oh my god, he really died. This is too sad. I can't stop crying. It got to be something drastic. So I'm pulling off for Mashima to do it justice. Looking back his old work, he did actually do good on that part. So here could be actually surpass his old work in terms of that kind of scenario. But I guess we have to wait, and hopefully he didn't really lose his touch. So then that's where the shocking begins. The war actually begins now. So I'll be like, wait a minute, what the hell? The war has begun, because everybody was about to go to sleep. Everybody's supposed to get ready for tomorrow, but instead they're ready for now, at night, no less. So everybody's like, what the hell? And the worst part is they had a radar, so they just didn't see them tracking. And what do you know it, all of them just appear out of nowhere in the radar, and they're like, shit, I can't believe this is happening. And not only that, they have like 50 lost ship in the sky. Crap. So unless the series goes way too overboard by having Natsu just destroy all 50 of them, and then he's still like good to go, I hope, I don't think that's gonna happen, but they really make it a huge deal. So this really, really looks bad. And wouldn't you know it, the first one to barge in will be Agil. Makes sense because he was the one that's supposed to kill the fairy tale to begin with, but of course they got away, Laxus and all. So now he's continuing on, and at least he'll be the first one to defeat. Question is, how they're gonna defeat him? Now the chapter ended. It has a preview that says Team Flying Dragons and Team Osprey. I'm guessing they're really gonna have not just Nasu doing all the work, but they're gonna have a lot of them to do the work. But the fact that there's 50 of them, I don't even know how that's gonna work. It's just crazy. It's just 50 ships, and then yes, I know it's fairy tale. I know they could go the usual route, but you never know. Maybe it could surprise me. I hope. I don't want to be like, oh, this is too easy. This is so same formula, same old, same old. But you never know. You really never know. I could be surprised. I'm hoping for any surprise. So, this was a good chapter. A good calm before storm. The only surprising part was actually the Gray and Juvia. Mainly because of Gray actually is about to respawn. Or not about to, but he actually into this. It's like, what? Really? Well, but hey, rejoice, parent fans. So, that's good. And again, there's some nice, sweet moments, simple stuff. The parents are roll. And then the war has officially begun, so there's no dragging out. We're finally getting to the big battle, which I'm a little worried still because, Fairy Tail being too easy, being the same old, because she's Urza moment. I hope that doesn't do that. Please don't do that. So we'll see how the next chapter feels. So this is the big 800. It is chapter 800 of One Piece. A milestone has been made. I mean, in terms of One Piece, I'm not talking about in general, because One Piece is not the first to hit 800, nor the only one to hit 800. I mean, let alone that, of course. But it is still a milestone because this is One Piece. This is Weekly Shonen Jump, and seeing this series hitting the 800 is pretty amazing. Actually, it's amazing. The story is still have a lot to tell. The series itself is very popular in Japan, and it's worth to read along for past 800 chapters. It is a really good series too, so it's not like, oh boy, I'm gonna, whatever the series. It's really, I guess you could say it really lives to the name. It really lives to this hype, more or less. But every series has its own hype that's lived up or not, because somebody would like to overrate it. Sometimes some people like to underrate it. So, but either way, to my opinion, I still think this is really, really such a great series. And seeing it being 800 is a milestone, and it's nice to see how far it has gone, and it's still continuing on. It's not going to end. It's not going to end it there because it has the 00 end of one digit. That's actually a milestone number, like the other series done that. So what about this chapter in general? Well, this was a good, fun chapter. This was not like a lot of story heavy. This is not like a big explosive turn of event. There is a turn of event here, but it's something that was carry on from the last chapter. So it's more like an answer to the last chapter rather than something brand new that you would never guess. You would never foreseen this happening. It's not like Kaiser. It's not like like a tier that we have a couple of chapters ago where that the surprise show the surprise appearance, stuff like that. So it's not too too shocking, I guess you could say. It's more of a just a good fun way to end this arc, because this is actually the end of the arc finally, right? I know. So let's get to the chapter. Of course, it starts off with Luffy turning them down, and that was so expected from me. And I was like, here we go, the usual thing, blah blah blah. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's just like, damn it, you just come up with a strong build up from the last chapter. It was strong too, because the last chapter, they really numbered them. They really give the position, the name, everything. And and you know, just to troll away from this one, it would be like, why? I mean, it would be funny, I guess, but it just needed to, it was just too much work. It's like, don't do that. Please don't do that. So, you know, they made it a comedy, and, you know, it was funny while it lasted. I was just still awed by the fact that, why you just turn it down? I know that's your character, and it makes sense. Fine, I understand, but this is something that would be like a drastic turn of event for not just for you, but for the entire crew, for the entire venture. So, anyway, yeah, of course, that was expected, and I think a lot of people guessed it. You know, Bartolomeo keep persuading, like, why you don't want to turn it? How could you turn it down? This is something you really need. This is something, you know. It's like, but you know, I'm not gonna drink this. I'm not gonna drink this because I'm not much of a drinker. I thought it would taste bad and stuff like that. It's like, still, it doesn't matter. We want to be your fleet, and you're the turning it down. You're supposed to be our captain. So, you know, it's like a lot of commotion because they really want to be. They wanted him to be the captain, and Luffy continued on for this excuse saying like, we're so cramped. It's like, really. So it's funny though. So I was gonna forgive that whole scene about like turning it down. It's just, damn it, why are you doing that? But, you know, this is obviously a good punchline in the very end. Oh, well, not very end, but the middle. So it was a fun chapter. Again, it's a fun chapter. I find it hilarious. It's like, well, come on, you gotta be the leader. We trying to make you the star. It's like, yeah, we're gonna make you the star right now. So we're gonna tie you up and force it down. It's like, what kind of treatment is a captain? What treatment is that? Who does that to a captain? Yeah, we want you to be a captain, so we're gonna tie you up, you bastard. It's like, what the hell? What kind of loving captain you got? You know? And Luffy, this is where once again he tried one more time to tell them to buzz off by saying, you know, because everybody was telling him, you're gonna be the greatest guy, you're gonna be great, you're gonna be well known, fame, everything. And that's where Luffy screams out, I'm gonna be king of the pirates, but I'm not interested in being someone great. And then everybody's like, huh? So this is where he comes with his explanation as best as he can, talking about like, if they were in trouble, I'll call out to you guys as loud as he can, so he could join. You could come then. You know, he pretty much telling them, you know, everybody has a free choice. It doesn't need to be like all together or stuff like that under the one roof. It's like everybody has their own. Everybody's free. Everybody got their own choice. If you want to come to help, we'll do the same. They will come along, vice versa, you know, so on. And Bartolomeo is like being so drowned in his inspiration words, you know, becoming a great man. It's like, it's not, you're saying you're going to be king of the pirate, but you're not being a great man, but rather being free. You know, it's like so touching to these guys. But unfortunately, that's where the Marines finally catch on. And they was like, you know, they've already untangled themselves from being tied up. So pretty much, they got to hurry up now. They got to decide to get out or still trying to make Luffy into their captain of the fleet. But again, you know, Bartolomeo is so drowned with his words. Like, oh my God, I even love you more now. So, you know, everybody else talking about, you know, what Luffy said. And Luffy got the look of like, I don't know where this is going on, but I'm not liking where this is going. So he has that kind of look. And, you know, everybody's talking to each other, and then they decided to make their own speech, and, you know, while the Marines are attacking, no less. So they're attacking them, and, you know, it was nice that Fujitora pretty much let them let Luffy and others to escape. because that's his farewell. That's his way to farewell, and probably a lot of people are going to notice that that's him doing it out of kindness to the Luffy and others. So it's like, what the hell? This breeze is falling down. Why is falling down? They're falling on top of them or what? And that's his farewell. But you know how he works. Nice of him. Really nice character, I gotta say. So this is where, again, continuing off from the speech, this is where they tell Luffy, they pledge to become your subordinates. I'm gonna quote them. We pledge to become your subordinates, your shield and sword when the time comes, to protect you, our leader. As repayment for what you have given us, the 7 of us here will exchange our Sakazuki cups with all we have, and we'll do it even if you refuse. And that's where they come to the conclusion. So basically, they wanted him to drink that, and Luffy didn't want to drink it because didn't like alcohol. It was too cramped for the whole thing. He don't want to be someone great. He wants to, he got his own ways of being the king of the pirates. So everybody's free to do their will. So what did the other guys do? Well, drink and become the fleet. So, oops. Yeah, it didn't work. It's like, yeah. So we were free to decide what to do, right? That's really touching. So we decided to become your fleet. All right, let's have a feast. So, yeah, I actually find this hilarious. I actually find this really good to do that. I'm thankful that Luffy has a fleet. Yes, I know it's not permanent, but the fact that the story needs to be something different, a little bit different touch, and I think this one is a good way to go. Another thing is, it's a good thing that these characters are coming back because, granted, I don't remember half of them, but names wise, but I do like the fact that they did a big, long introduction back in the last arc, and you wonder why there's so many characters to be introduced. Because apparently these characters will come into the next arc. So in other words, they're gonna continue on coming back. So yeah, that's how it's gonna work, and it's nice. I like that. It didn't feel like you wasted. It didn't feel like you have too many characters for one arc. You have too many characters for the latest one, so the ongoing series. So whenever they show up again, or whenever they're gonna come back, whenever they're gonna return to do their things, we will know. We will know the names and everything else. So good. It's not a waste. And Luffy is like, what the hell, man? He's like, he can't believe there's so many people. He has so many guys now. Then he's like, oh, no problem. You just be yourself. We did our own anyway without your permission. So, we join your fleet. We don't need you to be the captain to say, yep, I'm got your fleet. Instead, we will be your size, sir. So that was their decision. And Luffy's like, damn it. And then, his mind shifted as soon as he found out hey, they got meat. It's like they're fighting over the steak. Holy crap! That sounds amazing. So everything went so well. And yeah, Fujitora again, saying his farewell to Luffy, and he really thankful for what they done. And Sengoku is behind him. Like, I heard that. He's like, crap. but I don't think Sengoku would tell him. He is a nice guy too. At least I hope he doesn't do that, because he doesn't even have a care in the world. Well, he does, but not too much of a care anymore now he stepped down from the Admiral's position. So, yeah, big difference. And then we see Koros and Rebecca having their final scene, and, it's like, it ends well, it ends well, right? So it's really touching, small touching scene, just to let you know, we're finally finished with this arc. Time to move on to the next one. It's a lot of double page in this chapter, but it's really nice to see so many. It feels like a really good conclusion. It's a good conclusion to the arc, and it kind of hinted that the next arc is going to be very huge. But for now, that's something untold, and what you see right now is something that you should be celebrating. So whatever the next arc will be, it should be interesting. But now that it's done, it was a good arc. It was a pretty good arc. I know there's some problems, dragging stories, too many characters, way too many characters, even for somebody who's going to join in, which has happened now. But, you know, there's some hit and miss. It feels like it's been forever seeing the other Straw Hat crew, which I didn't even realize that. So, yeah, the arc was so long, and you know it was long, but hey, there's a lot of good benefits too. With the whole story behind Law, Don Flamingo, the bagger himself, the whole fights, the whole hockey that Usopp was developing and everything. You know, there's a lot of good moments. There's a lot of good moments. It's not a train. It's not such a disaster. It's not it's not a terrible arc. It's not a bad arc. It's just different in some form or way. It's different from the other arcs that we have. It has the same format in some other way, but like it is a different arc. It is kind of different because maybe it's the whole storytelling is different. The whole uses chapters in order to address the atmosphere, but either way, this was still a good arc, and you know I'm looking forward to see what's the next arc unfolds. Whatever the hype that narration left off, well, we'll see what happens. And yeah, One Piece continues going strong. This was a pretty heavy information, interesting chapter, I gotta say. The beginning starts with something interesting, you know, the idea of the whole Ghoul, then the experiments, and even the Quinkies, the squad. They actually have a little elaborate on that one. Then we have the emotional part of the story, of this chapter, which has to do with Sasaki and Shu, which I actually find this to be the highlight of the entire chapter. And then at the end, we have something that would pretty much say the story is about to progress, and the story is about to hit the huge climax that this whole past chapters has been building up. And, you know, there's a lot of build up, but it's really good, and it's really interesting to see these characters being exploited. Especially with Sasaki, now he's on the distress of, you know, he's more and more, he's really, really having a hard time to deal with the fact that he has a known name, has a memory of the already a known person, you know, the one-eyed Ghoul. And then we have more of Shu, more his characterization. There's a lot of characterization in the middle part of the chapter, towards the end as well. In the beginning, has a lot of information that is pretty interesting, and it only screams bad news by the end of by the end of that part of the chapter where they have the discussion about bringing back two guys. So let's just go over with the chapter. The cliffhanger was Naki going to meet with Kanu, which seems out of place because I never image between those two, but here it is right now, seeing these two interacting, and this is where they started talking about Gagi and Googie. I think that's how you say his name. And you know, they're dead. They got killed off from the last arc, and they still have their body at the very least. But Kanu pretty much discussed what he wants to do with the body. First, he explains that these two did not have Kagune. Did not release it because, you know, every Ghoul has them, but for them they're special because they couldn't release it. They were unable to release it since they have RC cell pipe blockage near their Kakuha. So yeah, it explains why we never seen them fights with their Kagune. I guess I was wondering about that. I was like, you know, for guys who are supposed to be bodyguards or friends, whatever, why they don't use a Kagune? There you go. That's the explanation. So, you know, it was like, you know, he's explaining even the Quinque, the idea of like, you know, if you were to make it into them to a Quinque, the data will show that the instant of RC factor may register about around 3,800. at this point, Naki's like, he's getting confused, which is understandable because Naki is not a bright person. He's really like a very, very lost child who's really doesn't know what to do anymore. Because remember with the last series, he seems so disheartened, so broken up. Such a child. That's what he is, which makes it interesting in some form of way. But yeah, that pretty much kind of goes on and on explaining like, you don't mind if I use these two for my benefits of researching something. And the way how Ishida uses chapter with the mind bubbles, the thought bubbles rather than the dialogue bubble one. The fact that he used a lot of them for Kanu's side, it really makes it such a despicable bastard. Especially, it's like, can I borrow them? You don't mind if I do that? And it's like, so you're asking me if you could use them, you can make them try to do something for your research. And, he's like, well, I am asking. I'm going to tell you a little bit more. But his mindset is like, I already dissected them. He's like, dude, hate him. Fucking, sorry. So, but yeah. His main priority now in terms of why using these two is because he wants to analyze the Q surgeries, the Queen case. Since they are advanced, they're the one that seems like something that Kanu wants to do in the first place. And then he goes to explanation about the T-Owl project. The Owls project, the success rate. He did they uses the surgery with the Yoshimura base, and they only had one successful one, and that was Takizawa. So remember, Amon one is a floppy, as called failure, which begs the question. I wonder how he looks like, and he's still strong as hell, but maybe he's like 90% good, and everything else messed it up. So maybe it's like, nope, that was a fail. But then again, it makes sense to be with the other guys. Being with the other floppies, they actually pass around. Makes perfect sense if you ask me. So they actually go back to the Riza base. Now, the Riza one is actually interesting because it only brings up the idea that Riza is still relevant. And I still believe she's always been relevant because she is such a mystery character in some form of way. Because we don't know that much of her past. We don't know what's her deal. We just know that she was pretty damn strong. Her cognitive is pretty damn good, and the fact that it regenerates fast rate, that is very helpful too. And she was known, and I think her father, I guess that his father, I forgot his name already. I gotta go back, but he is in Ogiri. And we haven't seen them yet, so it should be interesting when we see them once again, and then with the whole story, background, everything, how this all connects. But then, anyway, going back to the whole Risa project thing, they only managed to get 3 successful ones, and they had to sacrifice 1,200 bodies. It's like, jeez, how many corpses you grab? How many people you grab? But yeah, the success rate seems very low, and they managed to get 3 of them, but only 2 of them were actually considered prototype, while the one that's considered perfect is Kaneki. And he doesn't really know if Kaneki is really perfect because of his own, or it's just because of the successful Riza base are just better. It's really hard to say. Maybe it's a mix of both. Like, Kaneki adapted to it and he made it into his own. He didn't really like, well, I got passed down, I'm gonna check if good. I'm gonna try to use what's already been there. For me, I feel like Kaneki, he had made it into his own way. He had made his own uniqueness, and he managed to do that. And he calls him, he's complete. He's like a complete. He's a complete experiment. He's imperfect because he's growing perfection. I guess I understood what that means actually, which is staggering. So the explanation goes on because he want to research on these Queen keys, how the research goes, how the surgery goes, and more and more Naki's just getting lost. He's like, his head hurts because again, he's not a bright person. So then he pretty much settled down in the shorter word saying he wants to bring back Gage and Guge back to life. And Naki already got all eyes and attention saying, like, you really? Can you really do that? And, again, not Kanu is not going to say what he needs to say. He's like, in a certain way, yes. Conniving. Anyway, so pretty much he's saying, like, yeah, I promise I was to see. And it's like, oh my God, you're really going to save him? You're really going to bring him back? Thank you. He bring the news to his other clan. And, yeah, you pretty much he's only asking for very bad news. With him, of course, that's the case. And yeah, he's really looking forward to see what's the deal with the whole surgery, with the deal with the whole experiment, and at the same time wondering how his beloved prototype doing. And you know who he's addressing. So we see Sasaki. Now we get to Sasaki part. So this is where we get to the more emotional side of this chapter, which I really like, and begins with like him trying to go more research on Amon. And at one point they were talking. At one point, Sasaki asking what happened, how his death came into determined, and that's where one of the investigators was like, "Oh, that's classified. That information is classified," and that's sad because they made it into classified rather than like something like everybody has to know, because this is a person's death and not things should be classified. So with Almond, that's something else. It's classified mainly because Sasaki is there. Sasaki is Kaneki. Kaneki is still in his mind, so obviously getting more information on that's gonna make his mind getting closer to bring back Kaneki. So now he's just struggling. What is going on? Like, why is it's like and then Kaneki even asks, what are you doing? Well, what is it that you need to know about? When you know about that, your mind is gonna pretty much go crazy again. And then he's like, he knows, but he's just doing this for his sake. He's like, his sake. They're working together with this, but at the same time, Sasaki is really pushing it more and more to get the major memory bank of Kaneki, especially with the Almond one. So, he's really pushing to the point that he's really might become Kaneki again, or whatever how it's gonna happen again. You remember the whole explanation back in chapter, I think it's 32, if I recall correctly. So, before we get to the more emotional side, we get to the Shu, talking to Aliza about Yuma, because Yuma is in trouble right now. When Shu really does care about other people. That includes his own family. He really cares about them, and he's also in a distraught manner as well, because he really wants Kaneki to come back. He wants his memory coming back. He wants everything go back to normal for his sake. But then we get to learn more than that soon. But first we get to the whole him trying to calm Aliza down about bringing back Yuma, because they will do it, and they will try to, I guess you could say they kind of relate in some sort of manner. So that makes it harder for Shu to actually concentrate more and more about this whole Kaneki situation. And unfortunately for him, because he stepped out, and because Aliza could not bear the thought of Yuma being in trouble, she actually went her ways to see the information, and she found out that Yuma is located in the 6th district, which that would mean something that she would do on her own, and that is going to lead to just bad trap. Now this was the emotional side. This is the highlight chapter for me. This whole Sasaki coming there, he really has a look of like not understanding. He has the look of really feeling under the weather, feeling really bad, like waking up to the wrong side of the bed bad. The way how he's looking down upon, and he meets Shu, and he actually wanted to meet Shu. He's like, you actually want to meet me? He said, that's unexpected. He's like, it's like Sasaki made time where Shu wants him to try to get time, or trying to make time by trying to get something out of the way, mainly the Q squad. But Sasaki actually made time for himself. So this is where it gets emotional, and that's where Sasaki asks Shu, the hard-hitting question, are you a ghoul? Which caught him completely off guard, and he doesn't know how to react. He should be like, yes, I am. It's like, is it a trap? Is it Kaneki? What's going on? You know, Shu did not comprehend what is taking place right in front of him. And, you know, Sasaki, he started asking, like, you know, started talking to him more and more. He's like, I'm a ghoul investigator. You know, the unnatural encounters has been following me one after another. I'm sorry if I throw you off guard like that. So I'm going to rephrase. Then it asks about Uta from the mask shop, or Yasumi, if he knows Yasumi or Fukuguchi. Which, again, I guess that pinpoints that Sasaki knows the fact that Uta is a ghoul, but he's just gonna go with the flow. I guess. I'm assuming that's the case, because, you know, like again, everyone else knowing he was a ghoul, he's like, what the hell? He's a ghoul, isn't he? Why are we not doing anything? You know. But in this case, he's really asking Shu a lot of questions. Shu is like, kind of feel worried because he doesn't know what's going on. Why he's like, what the hell is happening? Like, again, Shu is the one that's trying to chase after Kaneki memory, but now it seems like it's the other way around. It's Sasaki chasing Kaneki memory, and by asking him of all people. So, you know, he didn't respond. He was pretty much muted for the past couple of panels, and Sasaki's like, you know what? I get it. Don't answer that question yet. And, you know, again, it's just see more mind thoughts from Shu not understanding what's going on with Kaneki. It's like, you really are you an investigator? Are you ghoul? What's your goal here? What's going on? Like, you know, he's saying, what the you know? And then he's like, let me ask again. Are you someone who knew Kaneki? And again, Shu just doesn't respond because he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what's the proper answer. He should say yes. Would it be like, I got you, or we got a ghoul here, or it would be yes, and then they'll have a continued discussion. It's really tempering him, but at the same time, it's really bothering him, not just the fact what's going on, but why is he talking this way? Why is he, like, you know, being such a very vulnerable state? And the more you see Sasaki, you know, his facial expression, it starts to change up because he seems calm and preserved. He seems, you know, very naturally happy back in the first time that Shu and Sasaki meet. Not the time where Shu was very, 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 very bad condition. Not that moment, but this moment when he was getting better again. You know, they were like, you know, Sasaki seems nice. Sasaki seems calm. And, you know, he seems like a happy guy. Now he's seeing the vulnerable side. Now he's seeing the weaker side, the human side, the more of a very depressed, very lost in this case. And, you know, seeing him like looking down, just doesn't know what's going on. Like, he thought it'd be helpful if he gets more information out of him, if he knows really about Kaneki and everything else. And, you know, he does feel bad for Kaneki. He feels awful that he's about to be erased. You know, he's going to disappear in his head. So, but it's a struggle at the same time because Sasaki wants to live like a normal person, like he's supposed to be. You know, he was taught to be normal, be a ghoul investigator, and have a family with the Quinky Squad. Now, but that will only ask for erasing Kaneki from the memory, and now he doesn't want to do that because Kaneki has a reputation already. He's already known. He has friends, and he already knows that Ghoul, mainly Kaneki, is not a bad guy. That's what makes it harder. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. He has friends that really cares. You know, he has encountered people that, you know, Hinami really love her big bro, and, you know, it really makes him feel guilty to trying to erase him. So now he just doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what to do. And again, Shu's trying to avoid to speak because this is really hurting him as well. Then Sasaki finally broke down to tears. I think this is the very first time we see him breaking down to tears in this whole entire series. In terms of having the thoughts of what to do next, because the fact that he's gonna lose his memory and is all gonna erase Sasaki. So it's either erase Kaneki or erase Sasaki. your choice. So, it makes it worse that he go to do that whole operation, and they was like, hey, you're the eye patch Ghoul. And, and that's pretty much like, damn, that's my reputation. That's what I'm known for. That's what he's going to be known for. He's going to call him Kaneki, and that's what they call the Ghoul. When they see Sasaki, they're going to call him a human. And life, something like this is impossible to live the way how it is. Even though he really wants to be with his family, the Quinky Squad. But that's just not going to happen. And, he doesn't know what to do now. But he has no other option but to remember. And, he's asking for help still. And this is where we get the Shu side of the whole situation. He remembers that Kaneki was a strong guy. He had no choice as well. He didn't have a choice, but he has to adapt to the world of a Ghoul, which is sad for him as well. He learned a lot from Kaneki, and you see he understand what Hori meant when she asks, "Will you have died for your ingredients?" Then he started to reflect everything from his people, from his family, and pretty much it boils down to one thing, that he really loves hanging out with these family. Not just his own family, but the family that he had from the last series with Hanami, Kaneki, Banjo. Those days, those were the days for him. But he really wants to go back to those days. So he no longer sees Kaneki as a gourmet food, rather something else, more than that. And to me, that's just recipes to say you see him as a really good friend. So this is very developed for him, because we always see him as a gourmet, as a food. But now the more he thinks about it, and during his time when he was, like in his bed, he realized, maybe it was more than that. It was just not like, I lost my food, I lost my precious. It's more like I want to be in that family. I wanted those days again. And now he just doesn't know what to do. He had the perfect opportunity to bring Kaneki, but maybe he should not do it. Maybe it is best for Sasaki to move on and be a normal human, and don't go back to the horribleness that is the Ghoul life. So, it really sucks. It really, really sucks. I like the development from him. I really do. Like, it finally shows him that he is thinking more outside the box of the idea that Kaneki is not just a gourmet, but is a really good friend. And seeing him not knowing what to do, now I feel like he should side with the idea that Toka was telling him to begin with. But at the same time, it's like you're losing a big chunk of life. It's like a friend. You're losing a friend. They can't hang out each other. One is a Ghoul, one is a Ghoul investigator. Ghoul investigator is going to go after him. So, for him, he just move on. And it sucks for Sasaki because, he's begging for help. He's really want help. And he just started walking away. It's like, where you going? And, once he left, Sasaki just feel like, come on, please help me. He has that look like, come on, don't leave me like this. It sucks for both of them. Oh, man, it's emotion. But, yeah, to me, I see that they're both coming. They're gonna see each other again. But unfortunately, they're going to see each other as enemies. And that's really, really sucks. So we finally get to see the Doves, the investigators, doing their mission at the 18th district, and then they find out, Rose and Ogiri were in fact, we're together on this. So now it's a lot of things are becoming connected, and a lot of things are really going to get real bad. And then it gets worse with this whole Kojima, pretty much talking like, it's so sweet that somebody attacking me alone to save your friend. That gives the idea that Aliza already went there, and unfortunately it seems like the worst has come for them. and Kojima just keep talking and just makes it seem he's a very disturbing guy. I guess you could say he really lives up to his name. It makes it worse the fact that, once he finished making that video, he already killed Yuma. So Yuma's already dead before her arrival. So she only made it worse by arriving, and then not only arrive and pretty much connect with the Tsukiyama family, but give it the idea that, not only that, but just the fact that she get beheaded in the most distressful, most gruesome way. It's just crap. Like, and now he want to send a message to these guys, to the family. This only gonna boil the family very heavily, and pretty much is only asking for a huge war coming from the CCGs, the Rose and Tsukiyama family, and even Ogiri, especially with Ito trying to is manipulating more and more to Kanae, which, oh God, I told him that he should never done any pact with Ogiri. Is only asking for worse trouble. But, well, what can you do now? So yeah, this was a pretty good chapter. Great, if I would say, because of the whole middle part that I even described perfectly enough with that middle part. There's a lot of things to behold with that middle part. In the beginning, it's a lot of information. It's interesting. You probably have to read it twice because it is something that you need to think about. And for most cases, it does make sense. And the ending, it has a cliffhanger of pretty much saying like the whole war between you and your family is about to begin, and I'm going to address them by showing the bodies of your family to your truly. So it's only going to get worse, and when the arcs finally hit to the climax, it's going to be very heavy, and I cannot wait for it. And that's it for today's podcast episode. There is supposed to be a Q&A, but I'm going to save that for the next episode. So the format goes like this: the anime news and the manga news. Then we have the rankings of the best chapter that I thought, of course everybody has their own opinion. And, what was the chapter that really made me, happy? I don't know about happy. Basically, what chapter I found the most, found the best, I guess. It could have been done simple, right? But anyway, yeah, that's how I work. And then we get the reviews of the 3 series I already chose. I could change in the future. It depends. Maybe I'll see about it. I'll think about it. If Fairy Tail is in the final arc, if it is truly in the final arc, maybe I will just find a replacement sooner than later. So we'll see. And then the Q&A, which you could ask the question, you could send the question, you could leave a question in the comment box, you could leave a question to my Tumblr. I will actually use that, even though I will probably reply it, but I'll probably reply in a more simpler base. And I could reply here in a more full version of it, you could say. And I could still get some other questions from the other websites and so on. Some of the threads actually brings up some interesting questions. Some of them could be some dumb one. It could be a really dumb one. I'll let you guys know. But yes, this is me coming back full force. I should try to find the intro. I can't use the intro. That was my only comeback. As you may know from the very beginning of this podcast, you would know that I have to do it right now. I wasn't forced upon. I was like, I guess I wasn't ready to come back completely, but I was ready to come back. When I say completely, there's some parts I'd like to input there. Some part is still there, some part is not there. But I am back, and I am going to be fully, what's the right word to say? Put 100% effort. How about that? I'll put 100% effort into this podcast from the next episode and so on. So, yes, I'm back. Spread the words about me making a comeback, making a return. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another edition of Sparda's World Podcast. Take care and enjoy.